Hello, it's Greg back with Einstein's disease, and our guest today is Jonathan Duquette. Jonathan's the CEO of GoNano. Jonathan, it's great to have you back for this segment. Really appreciate what we were able to share with the audience in the second segment with respect to the solution that you outlined so eloquently, and then how it overlays or replaces insurance. What we'd like to do in this segment, Jonathan, is uh, it, as the title of the show, Einstein's disease. You had some serious challenges to start this business. You had to overcome. You had to have a business plan. You had to have an addressable market that you defined. You needed to find a way to get people to adopt your product, where many people, you know, clearly, as you outlined in the last segment, somebody comes up and says, "I can help you. I can save you tens of thousands of dollars." They're like, "No, you can't. I've heard this line before, and it doesn't work." So tell us a little bit about your market strategy and how you went about this in the beginning, Jonathan, from being able to be an entrepreneur to take on and build this company to where it is. And we'll get into some of that as the segment goes on. But really give our audience the sense of the challenges you face. Because quite frankly, as an entrepreneur myself, and I know we talked about it before the segment, you run into a lot of people who think they know everything. And when they think they know everything, they're a great client or a potential great targeted client, but it's finding a way to get that Trojan horse to get behind that facade of "I know everything." So maybe you can give us a little bit of a background and some of the challenges and how you overcame some of those.
Sure, Greg. Great point. And as soon as you start something that's so different, people will all like throw rocks at you. That's just the meaning of life, right? That's been with everything when it comes to um, for example, Tesla when it started, or whatever big company when it started, people don't believe in it and will do everything to try to say or discredit that company, right? And that's what create like revolutionary product, right? There's a lot of books. I really love one of the books about Peter Thiel about 0 to 1, and basically how starting a business that doesn't exist takes more energy, more time, because it doesn't exist. And it was the point with GoNano. Nothing existed before. The product, the market really didn't exist, right? All of it. So we had to create everything from scratch. When you create something from scratch, it comes with, yes, a lot of challenges, but it creates as well a blank canvas in front of you. And you decide, okay, where do we have to go? What needs to be done to be able to reach out that end consumer? Because that's always the goal, right? The end of the goal, it was always for me, how can I help more people? And as well, how can I help the planet? Because it's ridiculous right now that billions of tons of asphalt shingle are thrown away every year, and it takes over 300 to 400 years to decompose. So my mission is so like is embedded in me, right? That mission of being able to help people and help the planet just make the whole process a lot easier. Because every day when you wake up is how can I help more people? It's not about anything else. So saying so, growing the business, right? Starting recruiting dealer across the US, we faced a lot of little problem in the beginning, but that's where GoNano was a lot different than everybody else. What we did first was targeting right away the main thing, which is the research and data. People were like, okay, we need, how can I, like, okay, you're telling me all of that, but can you prove it? And that's what we did. As a starting company, little revenue at the beginning, we invested all the money that we had in the company to go out there and do tests with like UL or other people out there, which was costing between $40,000 to $100,000 a test, right? It's really, really expensive to start testing, but we found out that it was the only way to go and get that trust from people. But we never stopped there, right? We tested our first product, but we continue in the development of new product. We figure out, okay, we need to help more people. And so when it comes to about the people and not about you, You're just looking at solution on how can you make yourself understood, and that's really where how it started. And after that, it's about being truthful. We're doing a lot of trade shows, and if people are going on our YouTube page, they will see that we're doing in-person tests where it's not a lab, right? We're doing in front people tests, or we can bring them shingle that they can see for themselves how different it is. And that's really how we've been able to overcome most of the objection over time, and grow a network, because people trust us and they see that it's whatever we say, it's been tested and proven.
No, I hear you. So yeah, you're based in Canada, where, quite frankly, you don't have the variance in weather. So your target, the southwest of America, southeast, Florida, etc. Talk to us a little bit how you came from Canada. You were able to identify the market. You came up with a solution that you were able to have all the testing, the data to demonstrate the efficacy of what you have. But talk to us a little bit about how Jonathan Duquette was able to go to Dallas, Texas, and get people to go, well, we want to hear what this guy has to say. I mean, you have a, you know, everybody comes from somewhere, obviously, but you founded and created a product that really does better in our varying climates than what it does in Canada. Tell us a little bit how that's worked for you.
So to come back in Canada, I think we have one of the hardest climates to work with, just because the freeze cycle during the winter. Freeze cycle are really something that destroys shingle really, really fast, because the water penetrate, freeze and freeze thaw, and it just break the shingle really rapidly. Where in Texas, it's the sun and the heat, right? So it's two different problem, which the product tackle really, really well in both climate. But the way that it started here, so started GoNano, yes, here in Quebec, Canada. Did it for over 2 years time. Saw potential right away. Is like, okay, let's jump in Texas right away. Texas is basically the same size of Canada when it comes to population, so I was like, that's the perfect market, right? But what I found 3 to 4 years ago was that the Texas market was still an insurance market. But that was what was really complicated at the beginning, is that what I face is that here in Canada, insurance doesn't cover roof at all, right? The roof are 100% homeowners. It's not the insurance company at all. So I was like a little bit impressed about that, about Texas, where it was all about. What we are seeing now is that all of that is changing, and it comes like in Canada. And that's really when it started about 2 years ago in Texas. People saw, okay, GoNano has the research showcase that it works. Tons of like thousand and thousand of installation done, no warranty claim. Okay, so it works. Call with our other dealers across the US, figure out, okay, it works. Now Texas is one of our booming market because of all of that, right? Uh, it's the best insurance that homeowner can have for their roof and their house, right? The roof is what covers everything. So
Yeah.
a lot of
So
challenge.
what I'm really hearing from you, Jonathan, is when you started in Canada, the roofs weren't covered by insurance. You were able to create a product that gave you uh, a level of notoriety and value within the market. You identified something in another area in America where insurance actually existed. But now that insurance is moving away from covering the roof like it did in Canada, you feel that's been a competitive advantage to you relative to some of the others because you've worked in that, your competitors. How big is your management team? How many people do you work with respect to the strategy on things like this, Jonathan? Because that's a huge thing that you identified, and in some way or another, that got you over the edge to a lot of the customers that you have that probably 3 years ago said, I don't need this, I'm just going to use insurance. And now they're like, holy cow, that it doesn't work that way anymore. So you had that. Was that part of your leadership team that identified it? You know, how did you, and you clearly, that when that door opened, it's done a lot with respect to the increase in the amount of dealers and things like that, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. But talk to us just briefly on your leadership team and how you collaborate together with respect to the challenges of having a business that traditionally people haven't either used or think they don't need.
Yeah. One thing that I think I do really well is attract great people. And when you do something when you do something that's driven by your heart and not about money, you attract a lot of people that see the same vision as you. And doing so, I just attracted a lot of people with a lot of influence in the roofing space, but as well in the insurance space. And what I do best is, if I don't understand a market, I go and fly down there. And that's what I did. I went to Texas and I went door to door to understand what was the dilemma of people down in Texas. And that's how I was like, okay, I understand. Now is like second step. Okay, I don't understand all about the insurance market. So what I did is that I went to Austin and I met with the governor, right? That's what I did. I went out there. I was like, okay, I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to go and meet them, go with the governor, went to Austin, did the whole thing with them. They explained to me how the states is looking at insurance, because a lot of people get denied on insurance, and the states still has a responsibility about that as well. So they started to explain me what was the rollout of the insurance industry. It was, I think, 2 years ago that I did that in Austin. And that's where I was like, okay, now I understand the consumer behavior. I understand the state placement on that major issue that's going on right now in Texas. So now we have all of that information. Now, what else we need to do? Education. That's the only thing, right? Because people need to be aware that a solution exists, so they are not caught up into like a $15,000 payment that they weren't prepared for because they didn't knew that the solution existed. So that's why we are doing what we are doing right now when it comes to education.
That's fantastic, and that's a great way to close out this segment. We're going to get to our sponsors so we can pay for this show. And when we come back, we're going to bring everything together and listen to what Jonathan has to say about the challenges of the dealership community to some of our listeners out there that are entrepreneurs looking for maybe a different opportunity, or understand when they are looking at opportunities, how a company assesses somebody that might be interested in being a franchise owner or a dealer in the case of GoNano. Jonathan, thank you very much. And we look forward to closing out the last segment with you shortly. But at this time, we'll cut off for a commercial break. Thank you very much.
Thank you.